in other places. How can a financial policy or monetary policy be put in such a way that they can incentivize SACCOs to be able to give loans to the Wananchis that are producing the food that we eat and using approaches, organic manure, because as I said, there is no absence of actions in Kenya. They do happen, but there's no incentive to bring them to scale. How can the clean energy, as you said, the market incentive is actually the best incentive to be able to bring to scale production. It is the best incentive to be able to bring to scale even people purchasing solar dryers, utilizing solar powered irrigation, because they know that at the end of the day, what they're doing, they will sell it and make profit. That is the reality. And that can only come through ensuring that policies are synchronized, harmonized to drive so. And if we don't do that, then we fail, as the chief economist said, the continent is rich in policies but poor in implementation. So one of the key actions that I think this task force should do is, first of all, sitting here today is already validating the terms of reference. You have come together to discuss a common issue. How can we ensure that our policies, despite where we sit, drive socio-economic transformational change for Kenya? And in this case, through the lens of agriculture. That then gives us that opportunity to say, okay, where with irrigation? We need to be able to ensure that we can move away, because Kenya Vision 2030 and Kenya Transformational Agenda, as enshrined in the Paris Climate Change Agreement and in the NDCs that were ratified, is to move towards a low emissions development pathway. Can irrigation then synchronize its policy with energy to ensure that you're moving away from diesel-powered irrigation to solar-powered irrigation? That is a policy synchro, but it must work with the Ministry of Energy, because the solar energy has something to do with the Ministry of Energy. Can we ensure that the feed-in tariffs, which have incentivized, which is an incentive to ensure that people can be able to move towards clean energy, solar power or wind, also synchronize with agricultural policies in such a way that what is produced is processed not using dirty fuel machines, but using machines that are powered by clean energy. And the list goes on and the list goes on. So the adoption of the sectoral approach to development, as you've all said, is what will be able to transform the African continent and also Kenya. And the discussion starts here. I think that we will need to continuously recalibrate. We cannot in one meeting address every problem or address every challenge, but what we can do is that we can start. And even going back to your respective ministries and looking again from the discussion today, there will be also some ideas that will come up that we can be able to continuously refine. If you take the case of Sierra Leone, the biggest issue was how can you be able to drive development not just at the urban level, but to ensure that especially the youth are not leaving the rural areas and coming to urban centers, especially coming to Freetown. And the idea was, within the Barbosa framework, which from an operational perspective, there were a lot of things that were already happening at the ground level. How can the renewable energy, because the focus on renewable energy and companies, how can we incentivize them so that they move down to where the people are actually doing the work and deliver clean energy for people to use, solar powered irrigation for people to add value to their produce, dry their vegetables, and at the same time process cassava into flour, into bread, and even into beer. And they decided to sit together with all the ministries, but focus on clean energy. You need finance to be able to give tax concessions to and tax rebates to the sectors that, especially the private sectors that are involved in clean energy. You need the Ministry of Transport to ensure that what the youth produce, if they're adding value, they must not necessarily be at the production point, but they may be in the middle, just involved in transportation, just involved in opening up clean energy businesses. But it came as a result of this policy synchronization, coherence, for that to happen. And in Nigeria now, they are doing it. I don't always like to use Nigeria, as you say,